Hey, thanks for joining me. Oh boy, another weird random pickup. Just had to pick up this book because you just know that once you get inside this thing, it's just going to be, well, it's probably just going to be terrible, right? I mean, we be honest? Extreme Studios in the Image Comics early days, it's just the gift that keeps on giving, right? Um, I mean, I also kind of think like it's kind of hard to know the mindset of the people that were making these books at the time. Um, I kind of imagine that they were all intentionally trying to do as good a work as they were possibly capable of doing. And so, in that kind of context, I want to give full respect to the creatives involved. But it's just so ridiculous, kind of in retrospect, thinking back on it years and years later. But it was of its era, and the art and the style and the themes and what was selling. um, when was this one made? Because the year means a lot. This is 96, so I'm pretty sure this is right in the time when the bad girl thing was getting going, where we're going to have books with hot, mostly undressed girls swinging swords and killing each other and fighting monsters and long hair and lots of skin and lots of boobs. And I mean, if it's selling and that's what the market wants what it wants, and you just kind of give people what they want, right? I mean, what else do you do? Do your brilliant, like, thoughtful, introspective breakdown of a character where they sit around and talk for 12 issues. It would be objectively, more respectable, but is it selling and does anybody care? And then there's a question of walking away from, making something that's meaningful but doesn't sell and no one gives a shit about, but you can kind of hold your head high, as opposed to making the cheap pop culture garbage that sells well, but you're probably embarrassed by. I don't know. I would think that if given the opportunity to create something like this and it was selling, I mean, would I turn that down? I don't think so. But I know that for me, I'd want to make the best version of it possible that I could do. So, how does this stuff hold up? Well, that's the question, right? Um, it was interesting that, I see this. It's Glory and Celestine. Glory, of course, we know that's a Wonder Woman ripoff character that Liefeld created. And then Celestine, I'm pretty sure, is a I'm sorry, Alan Moore creation. Let's double check. Yeah, Celestine, created by Alan Moore. Yeah. Specifically credited as trademark and copyright to Alan Moore. And then there's Dr. Daedalus and Lord Ravensbane and Luwanda Newmore are trademark and copyright Joe Duffy. So that's crazy that there's all these different characters in here owned by different people. I wonder how that works in, like, if they wanted to reprint this stuff, if they'd be allowed to. Does anyone give a shit and want to see it? No, I don't think so. But as far as the cover, so the pencils are Pat Lee with Norm Rapmond on inks. And there's things about this I'm looking at that are like, I actually kind of like, as far as the cover, and things that are just awful. And it's weird to have so much kind of on the same cover that there's some stuff I like and some stuff I think is just ridiculous. The basic composition and pose is just two girls standing there looking hot. How do you just kind of compose that kind of basic shot? Their hair looks essentially the same color, and it's all just kind of blending together in one big mess. The figure of Celestine is awful. She's got this big goofball looking face and disproportionate, which I see a lot in this book. Her head is huge. Or any girls, many girls' heads are bigger than they should be on their bodies. And then her basic anatomical proportions are weird. But Glory's a little bit more solid, at least kind of in the head. I don't mind the arm coming forward, the foreshortening on it. The hand is cool. The sword is cool. I gotta say, the thing that I like most about this cover specifically, the more I look at it, is Norm Ratman's inking on it. It just looks really good. There's something about it in the details on the shiny metallic parts, specifically, that he just nails, and I feel like it looks really good. But the figures, like, again, there's parts of the Glory figure that are kind of okay, but her hips are weird, her legs are way long. It's almost like Pat Lee extended the legs longer than they should just so he could fit them down there into this pile of dinosaur shit that they're standing in. He's like, I don't want to draw the knees or anything like that, so I'll just draw the legs a little bit longer. I don't know. There's some things to like and dislike. I don't know that I've ever noticed the image eye there rendered in color to look like a glowing red jewel. I actually kind of like that. The coloring's not bad at all. But what the hell's going on in this book? And it was interesting. I'm like, okay, so this is a number one. Like, number one to me would indicate new series, new ongoing series. But is this like a one-off? Or a mini series? I guess I would assume that this is some kind of mini series. Which does Glory and her popularity at the time warrant multiple series at the time? I don't know. So you get writer Joe Duffy. That's a name that I'm obviously aware of. I've heard the name forever, but I don't really know anything about her. Just that she's been a writer, so I can't really judge based on past work. I gotta say, the way this whole book is constructed, it's kind of weird. It doesn't really, I don't know that it works. Pat Lee on pencils with inks by Mike Miller. Pat Lee, most of us know who he is. He started out at Extreme, as far as I know. That's the first time I ever saw him. And his stuff had kind of a cartoony but god-awful Extreme Studios style. But he had an attention to detail, and if you kind of know what his art turned into later, he really leaned into the anime style, which he ended up doing very well, and he had a whole career of his own. Not particularly thrilled with his art ever in the early days, and almost not ever anywhere, if I'm being honest. He's kind of okay. He's definitely got some skill. And Mike Miller, the name sounds vaguely familiar, but I'm just wondering if I'm confusing the first name Mike and the last name Miller from names I know from other people. Now they're just kind of combined into kind of the most generic name. Maybe I'm confusing, thinking I've heard it before. I don't know. I don't know who Mike Miller is on inks, but it seems like it's pretty good. But as far as the story, we start out with the city shot, a bridge, and some kind of horrible accident, fire, and a helicopter on scene to investigate and report. It's a heck of a helicopter. It's even got double rotors. I don't think you're going to find any like news helicopter, that level of heavy tech, because it's really super not necessary. But yeah, there's like, oh my God, there's a horrible accident. Like a bus flipped over and it exploded and people are going to die. So you get the kind of like the news reporter thing. This is news reporter Sally sucking off. The bus is upside down and there's fire and people are going to die, and there's a guy over here freaking out, screaming. Like, this is a really weird addition. There's just a guy, just some dude, I guess they're interviewing, and he's like, death, it's the mistress of us all, the embrace we seek. And our driver was smoking, and then, okay. And of course, coming down in like Jesus on the cross symbology, the news reporter, who's like the hottest girl you've ever seen, like she could be the superstar of the book. She sees in the background, coming down, there's Glory. So, there's your big Glory shot. I get it. She's coming onto the scene. And again, it's kind of like the cover. There's some parts of it. There's some elements to this that I kind of like. And a lot of it is the inking, the texturing on the metal. It all's got a really interesting texture going on the metal parts. And then the coloring is actually kicking ass. Colors are Angelo M. Sang with Extreme Color doing the separation. So good for them. I feel like the coloring in this book is surprisingly awesome. But, all the texture and kind of like the big, awesome shot of the character aside, she's got a giant head. And then it's an ambitious perspective shot to have the body going down at an angle. So you have to really kind of keep proportions kind of under control, or it could start to look goofy. And I will say that he did not do that. Like the anatomy on the shoulder and the bicep muscle look pretty good. The fist looks pretty good. But again, the giant head and then the proportions of the upper body down to where the midsection of her body and then her hips are, it just looks weird. The bent leg with the giant foot as compared to the other leg coming down, which is unnecessarily long from thigh to knee and then knee to ankle. It's just all over the place. But it's also kind of eye-catching. It's got some good and it's got some really bad. It's ambitious, and I'm just hyped for the inking on it. It looks really good. It is funny in panel 2 here because Glory is coming down to save the day. And of course, these characters are all wearing like essentially swimsuit outfits, right? It's always thongs. So the interesting perspective shot, the composition that he chooses on this panel to just have her ass. Now, technically, the thong portion of her outfit's just out of panel, so it literally looks like she's got a bare ass with metal leggings coming down to save the day. And the fireman, can you imagine if that's your superhero girl showing up? She's just not wearing any bottoms or anything. Like, look at that. I'm sure there's comics out there like that. But to see something like that in like a big time kind of, quote unquote, big time Image comic, it's just hilarious that there's just a bare ass, even though it's technically not. That's exactly what it looks like. And the firemen are super thrilled about that. But Gloria's like, oh my God, I hope I'm not too late. There's people, they're going to die. I got to go save them. Good job, Gloria. Let's go save some people. She gets down to the bus, and it's kind of hard to tell what you're even looking at. But she says, if you can't open the door, make a new door, meaning she rips the bus open. Well, if you can't open the door because the mechanism physically won't unlatch, you think your own strength would just unlatch it anyway. It's just kind of unnecessarily stupid, like, oh, look at this superhero quip that she makes. Like, oh, the door won't open. I can just rip it open with my bare hands. I do kind of appreciate the kind of the squatted pose and the positioning of the legs on that shot right there. That's not bad. She rips the bus open, saves a bunch of people, and there's some dude in the bus that's kind of like a stoner who's like, hey, dude, this is awesome. And then there's a point about this that I don't know if the writer didn't make it clear or if the penciler, Pat Lee didn't pay attention. But if you notice, there's fire everywhere. Like everything is burning. Fire, 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 right? Just flames everywhere. And then she rips the bus open, gets the people out, and Stoner Douchebag flicks his cigarette or his joint or whatever, and it lands in, I guess, a theoretical pool of gas, which then explodes, as if all the flames surrounding them wouldn't have done that anyway. It's really dumb. It's like, why are we afraid of a little spark from a joint when they're surrounded by flames anyway? So it is kind of interesting. Like, she saves all these people, but then it looks like she only saves the one dude. But again, perspective-wise, it looks like she's just saving a little misshapen baby down there. The proportions are just so odd. And again, talking about weird proportions on the girl, it's that forced perspective, big head shot and upper shoulders, then the body going into the distance. I get it. And there's a lot of speed in that motion there, but it's also kind of goofy looking. And then, it's not a bad explosion. The fwoom is kind of underwhelming. I feel like you should zoom in on that explosion. It should take up more of the page. It's just kind of a little, especially when you have the explosion that small, you feel like you should see some other kind of elements to the bridge, like have the bridge and show it being cracked and blown apart and cars flying through the air. But nope, there's just kind of a little exploding cloud that says fwoom. Cool. So Glory is giving shit to the stoner. She's like, are you stoned, you unforgivable idiot? And he's like, Wendell flew from death's embrace. I'm like, what? What the fuck does that mean? So now you get silhouette shot of Glory landing and had saved people, and she's surrounded by folks, I guess. You can't really tell. And then this is a really weird, like, what are these stars? Are they with this panel? I am for real not understanding what these stars are there for. I was like, is it like stars on like a military guy's hat coming over from the silhouette shape here? But no, that's the silhouette of a woman's face. Like I literally sat here and stared at this trying to go, what are those and why are they there? Who cares, right? Glory suddenly, after just saving people, she kind of gets woozy and just falls over. Now, again, from an artistic perspective, this is an interesting kind of compositional shot. It kind of focuses the attention on a, interesting shot of the girl lying on the ground. And once again, it's kind of got some interesting aspects to it, and then kind of got some stuff that's like, God, does that kind of suck? It's kind of hard to, it's not hard to read, but I don't know. I feel like a different angle on this could have been chosen. It's an ambitious shot. Again, having the perspective looking at the top of her head and then her body going into the distance. Not that I want to make the focus be like on the girl's titties or anything like that, but I kind of appreciate that Pat Lee seemed to draw that part of her anatomy kind of like they're soft and actually kind of laying down instead of pointing towards the sky. It's actually something that I've seen a lot of artists do the exact opposite, like physics matter, right? And again, I think the coloring on the flesh tone looks really good, but just the position of the head and then the arm and shoulder, and it's kind of goofy, but it's kind of, you can see the artist trying something. I also really like these ink lines, the texturing going on in the background. It kind of doesn't really make much sense as to what it is or why it's there, but it's some nice ink lines. Cut to half-naked hot girl flying through space with lots of text. This must be a McFarlane. I keep wanting to say McFarlane. There's a reason. It's an Alan Moore character, but Alan Moore helped create, what's her name? Angela? And like the host of chick angel characters. So when I see this character, I think of her as one of the girls from the Spawn comic. And I don't know if Liefeld has his own angelic group of girls, or if this is just from that McFarlane world that Alan Moore wrote for, or that Liefeld has his own. Who cares? It's not the point. The point is, I look at this and my first thought is like, hey, a McFarlane creation. But no. It's Alan Moore, but it was Alan Moore working for a McFarlane on a Spawn book, hence the connection in my mind. Lots of text talking about she's an angelic creature from another world and she's super awesome and she's got boobs and she's got hair and she's got bladed weapon. And again, another forced perspective shot with the head coming forward and big shoulders and chest and then the small body going into the distance. An ambitious and interesting kind of challenge that I appreciate you're taking on, but it's not quite working. But it's one of those things where you imagine what the artist just keeps working at. He's going to get better at it. I have to say, I keep liking the flesh tone coloring. They did a really good job with these highlights on the flesh. It kind of looks good. I kind of dig it. But yeah, Celestine. Is she interesting? I mean, if Alan Moore was writing her, you bet that would be super interesting. But she traveled to some alien world because she's traveling the cosmos, righting wrongs. Yeah. It says down here, now she knows there are many, many more races and planets to contend with, an entire universe in need of chastisement. So she's there to go whoop some ass. So we come down to this other alien world, and it talks about how this world used to be a pinnacle of civilization where people were reverent and elevated, a heavenly spot in the galaxy. And then now bug monsters have basically conquered the planet. The bug monsters are called the Gokiburi. Literally says it, the Gokiburi. That's cool. They're bug monsters. You know, if you're a lizard thing or a bug thing, you're a bad guy. And so the extent of the storytelling that we get from a visual kind of explanation of what we're seeing, like city shot, bug things, and then just mouth, just biting her own lip, saying treacherous little thieves, and then this panel too is odd. It's kind of dumb to put this little tiny panel one right there in the center, taking up they've got all this wasted space on the page, and then have that panel sitting on top of panel 2, which I guess is a silhouette of her flying through the sky over the city. I guess that's what we're looking at. And I don't know if these are explosions and fire and destruction going on in the ground below. It is weird that she was carrying this giant super stabby weapon, but she doesn't have it there. But she lands. And bug things, I keep wanting to call them lizard things, but lizard things are in Jim Lee comics. Bug things are here. But they're like, Judgment Day, run away, that witch, she's beautiful, forget beauty, destroy her. And so one bug has got some gumption, trying to like, let's get her, but all the other bug things run away. So now all you see are like the back of her legs. And bug things like, they can't just leave me. And she goes up to him and grabs him. I'm actually super confused, though, because bug things were there. It says, it has been conquered and overrun and looted by a race of vile and sniveling, godless little freebooters, known to all who have had the misfortune to encounter them, the Goki-Buri. I guess he drops a bunch of gold bars on the ground. Like, where did that come from? Where was he carrying gold bars? Like, now if I look at it, they're carrying some kind of brick things. I guess if you're really paying attention, it's very not obvious. Oh, I guess that's what's in his hand there. I guess it's just to show that they're raiding the resources. What's crazy is that this is supposed to be this magical, wonderful planet, and you don't see any of the beings who actually live here. You just see bug things running around, apparently carrying gold bars. And so I guess he drops it in front of her. Bug thing freaks out, and she threatens to kill him. And the other bug things are saying that to themselves, thinking to themselves that if Celestine kills leader bug thing, that there's more plunder for the rest of them. And even one of the bug things has a thought of money, like dollar signs. Like, if she kills him, she's going to kill all of you too. Like, this is some kind of dumb writing. So, I don't know what Joe Duffy has done in the past. I understand that she carries kind of the respect of a writer who'd been doing a lot of stuff in the comics industry for a while, but this is just kind of weird. And so Celestine tells Bug Thing, she's like, this is a sacred place, peopled only by the devout. How dare you despoil it? And silhouette shot of Bug Thing, he's freaking out. He's like, we had a leader. It's not my fault. They told me to do this. He made us come here. Don't kill me. And she's like, you are the leader. He's like, no, I'm not. I'm just being bossy. And so she says, then you may lead your comrades into their eternal reward. And then other bug things come along. They're like, not today, girly. See what we found? Help is on the way. And so they found, I don't know what it is. I mean, it's some kind of like tracked machine, like a tank. I don't know. There's a round shape on top and what looks like ropes holding it down. What the hell is that? So Celestine drops Bug Thing, and Bug Thing freaks out. And then this panel is kind of hard to decipher, but she jumps out of the way because it says hop. She hopped out of the way. So this is another like extreme perspective angle, like headshot looking down. Tricky to pull off. And I guess bug things are yelling charge. Like, really? This is so fucking goofy. And then Celestine lands on the other side of this, whatever it is, a battering ram. And the sound effect says nab. So she grabs it, I guess, as it was moving, and all bug things that were hanging onto it go flailing off and fall. Now they're scared. She picks up the giant whatever the hell it is, because you could tell by the silhouette that she's standing there with glowing white eyes holding something. I guess it's that. Now they start begging for their lives again. Please don't kill us. You're so strong and pretty and awesome. If you spare us, we'll serve you. We know lots of stuff that we could help you on your journey. And she's like, perhaps I might spare you for a time if the Lord sees fit. If you know where any weapons to smite the ungodly might lie. So it goes from her referring to if you know where any weapons to smite the ungodly might lie, showing this weird jar I'm like, what is this jar? Where did this come from? We've not seen this anywhere. And this is Glory Celestine #1. Has this been established in some previous Glory comic? I don't know. Cuts to a goofy ambulance saying, Bob beep, Bob beep, Bob beep. So it's the ambulance taking Glory to the hospital. Remember, she fell sick after saving stoners from a fire. This shot, it's a tricky angle, tricky shot on the face. This like EMT, bro is locked in on her boobs. He is just staring straight at her chest. And I gotta be honest, if you got a girl this hot, it's right in front of you. I mean, you might squeeze you might steal a glance once or twice, but good God, is that guy just, bro is locked in. Cut back to the super hot news reporter. Like how Glory saved people, but then she fell unconscious, so we took her to a hospital. Now we cut to round shape of something and silhouette shapes of something. Monster things, because there's horns and pointy bits coming out of them. And some, I guess, bad guy. Don't know who that is. He says, why don't those fools listen? The Amazon warrior speaks the truth. She meddled with an object beyond her power to control. And soon her life will be, her very life will be forfeit. This is interesting. There's a little asterisk right here. I'll bring it up close to the camera. Little asterisk right there. Now, usually that means like that asterisk would be connected to a box. It probably says, see Glory number whatever for the story. I saw that. I'm like, asterisk. So I'm like, where's... So again, I didn't read any of these crappy comics. So is this a reference to something else that happened? This jar of death? I'm just going to have to assume that it must be, because to just have, from a narrative perspective, to just have it show up in the book, there's a jar thing. Like the first time we see it was just on the previous page. And then now we see it again. This is not the way to introduce some kind of like evil MacGuffin thing. It's really terrible storytelling. It needs to have been introduced before, which I'm going to assume it has been. But from a story perspective, this thing should have kind of like a recap of things so we know what this is, rather than just showing evil jar with black halo. I don't get it. So now I guess I don't know if we're in a hospital or an ambulance. I guess we're at the hospital because the ambulance arrived at the hospital. So there's Glory, there's heavily shadowed, crosshatched, dramatic doctor, and then some girl. Dr. Delmonico. And he's like, well, Glory, Nurse Nan and I never expected to see you here again so soon. Certainly not as a patient. So they're doctors. Good for them. She's saying Daedalus. And they're like, oh, everyone hears his reputation and wants the great Edmund Daedalus to attend to them. So I guess there's some super awesome doctor who never comes to the hospital and is super hard to contact. And heads of state can wait months to get his help. So Glory says, just call him and tell him that it's me and he'll come. Oh, he'll show up. I was like, just call him and tell him, hey, Glory's on the phone asking for you. He'll bust a fat nut and then she'll pass out because it's Glory and she's hot. Then we cut to some other scene, some other house, and it goes on here to describe just what a badass this Edmund Daedalus is. He's got a widely known among the followers of the occult. He was a skilled surgeon without peer, cold and greedy. One day he turned from the darkness and towards the light, entered the realm of magic, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, is this him? This must be him, because he looks like Nottingham from Witchblade. Guy with dark hair and blades and dramatic outfit and weapons and lighting. But no, this is Shaolong 2 seeks the path of enlightenment. So this guy is just a dude that helps the Dr. Edmund Daedalus. I'm like, what? All that descriptive stuff, and it's just his badass ninja helper. He gets a phone call. He's like, yep, sorry, Daedalus, he's not available. And they're like, oh, wait, Glory? Oh, don't worry, he'll show up for her. Because he's got a picture of Glory right next to the phone. So now, zip back to another scene. There's Doctor staring at her. And he's like, I don't know anything about these Amazons and black magic. I don't know how to help her. And then Dr. Daedalus is just there. It just, there he is. They're like, holy shit, it's Dr. Daedalus. Boy, are we jumping through this story fast. He's like, I won't need her chart. I already know what's wrong with her. And he's like, don't die, my dear. And so Glory says, Edmund, I knew I could count on you. So he grabs her hair and pulls on it hard. This is in a evil context, but some chicks are into that shit. I was shocked to find out myself. And then Dr. Edmonds turns from that to this asshole. Who the fuck is this? Are we supposed to know who this is? Again, if this is stuff established in previous Glory books, then great. The Pat Lee did not need to do this ridiculous shadowing on his face. I get he was trying to go for some dramatic lighting look, but he looks distorted and weird and creepy. And not in a good way. It looks like a bad drawing way. But there's a lot of detail, a lot of shadows, a lot of hair and braids and shit. And I guess he's just some bad guy who's like, your beloved champion, Dr. Daedalus, is off wandering the paths of the labyrinth of illusion. He's gone. You won't find him for days. But I'm here, and you should have never farted around with a container that should have normally been left sealed. Remember the magical jar? They're referencing that. When did she fuck with the jar? Again, must be in another book. She says the challenge opened by accident during a fight. So, okay, that's kind of validating that this happened in some other book, but you have to show that happened. This is terrible storytelling. It's so half-assed. Lots of text. Oh, there's this giant hand down here still pulling her hair. He's like, I always resented you banishing me after our little skirmish, forcing me to set myself up as a ruler of the absolute wretches of space. But I am back now. So he does some magic something, and then I guess he turns back into, I don't know who he's supposed to be. I don't know if he's supposed to be Dr. Daedalus again. But he did this right in front of other people. And it's like they don't even address it. Where are the other people who are watching this? This storytelling is so fucking weird. What? Where are the other people? So he's like, I go to claim my prize knowing it's already killed you makes it all the sweeter. Promise me you'll die in agony. There's a good girl. Ta-ta. So she's like, Ravensbane. Lord Ravensbane. No. So I guess this is Lord Ravensbane. Who the fuck is that? So we're going to have this sexy shot of her turning on her side. The mask is not on her face anymore. She's turning on her side, so we're going to have the curve of the hips and the ass and the boobs. And I guess she flops over the side of the bed. She's like, I'm dying. And then a voice says, no, you're not. Oh my God, who is this? And this is Maxi Mage, which I only know that. I couldn't tell from the art, but it explains it on the next page. But it's Maxi Mage. Everyone remember her? She's like the hot, half-naked Doctor Strange of Rob Liefeld's world. She's got a giant head and weird proportions and a lot of skin and a lot of boobs, and that's what we like her for. She shows up. So Glory, with this oh my God, almost orgasmic look on her face, she's like, Maxi Mage. She's like, I knew you'd remember me. Remember that night we spent together? I just had to come and help you. I'm making up that dialogue. It's stupid. But yeah, she says, the ancient even told me what to do. You'd caught a bad case of death by handling something like the opposite of the horn of plenty, kind of like a horn of annihilation. So then Maxi Mage is casting a spell above Glory's body, which shows like a magical version of the evil death jar. And then I don't know why we're seeing this building. There's text here that says West Arlington Museum of Folklore. The fuck does that have to do with anything? Why is that panel there? What is the relevance to that? Because the book is over after the next page. What is the point? And Glory suddenly, her hand, this is the only shot where she looks like a rotting zombie creature. I'm like, what the hell happened? She looks fine. She's looked fine the entire issue. But suddenly this close-up on her hand, it's like rotting zombie hand, but then magical spell lifts Glory out of the bed. And of course, we've got to have sexy shot, extreme perspective shot, head up close, body going into the distance. Got to get to see the full frontal of her titties and the backside of her booty, twisting that body around for the full sex appeal. And Maxi Mage just extracts like dark, evil jizz material from her body and sends it away where it flies across the city into a building, through the hallways, and into magical evil jar. And black evil jizz goes back into the jar where it stays contained. And then, so Glory's suddenly up on her feet. Maxi Mage, Glory's saying, well done. Maxi Mage is like, do you need any more help? And she's like, don't worry, where I'm going, it's too dangerous for someone as young as you. It could bring about Armageddon, to be continued. It's over. What the fuck? What a weird, disjointed, I get the idea. You start out with, action scene where Glory helps people. Then she falls sick for some reason, which clearly has to have been established elsewhere. So I guess this only makes sense if you've read previous books. And then you have Celestine on Bug World slaughtering bug things. Because you get issue 1 of Glory Celestine. These two should meet up instantly. I understand, again, story structure. You need to get your ducks in a row. I always say that. You got to build up and build up and build up for the awesome payoff. But issue 1, you expect these two half-naked girls to run into each other. Not just one of them fighting bug things, and that's all she does. And then have a hospital drama where Glory's sick in bed, and bad guys pretend to be other bad guys, and then magical wizard girl shows up and cures Glory, and she's fine. Off we go on to the next book. This is just constructed really poorly. It's not good at all. Boy, was Liefeld interested in grabbing onto anything that he could that was being popular for 5 seconds. I mean, the Power Rangers were popular, and then there was the big bad Beetleborgs. So, you know what? Liefeld's going to create comics on the Beetleborgs. Because, of course, he is. He's got Alan Moore writing Supreme. He got other secondary crew doing Kid Supreme. You got Dark Child, Glory, Jesus Lord. You got Liefeld jumping over to Marvel to do the Heroes Reborn thing. You got Power Rangers Zero and Youngblood. Good Lord. He was pumping out so much shit, and it wasn't too much long until they shit-canned his ass, or if you ask him, he quits. Either way, the result is they didn't want him around anymore. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. It's just kind of ridiculous. I'll give props to the artist for trying some interesting stuff. And I got to give props to the inker. Mike Miller really did, whoever he is, he did some pretty awesome stuff with the inking in this to make the art kind of shine. But overall, it's just kind of garbage. What more can I say? So I don't know. Where did this story go? Was this set up somewhere else? This is so weird because, again, it says number 1. If this was the next issue, if this was issue 14, the story would have made sense because stuff had been already built up. But this says issue number 1. Is that just a sales tactic? It's a number 1. People are going to buy more of it, even though it doesn't make any sense and it fucks up the narrative. And you can't look at this with any kind of respect because it's all about sales tactics first and story and quality second. Whatever. Liefeld's a millionaire, so what the fuck do I know? Glory Celestine, number 1. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.